Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Asylum117, or 117, wherever you want to be called, and today I'm doing a very strange video, because recently things haven't, especially in the Western entertainment industry, it has been going, as you know, going downhill, and I wanted to talk about this topic for a while, and I don't know if I will be able to talk about it really well because of how people nowadays just are triggered easily and whatnot, but this is a question I've been asking to myself for a really long time, and I also, one of my YouTube friends actually did a video like this before, and the question is, as you read from the title of the video, what if Disney didn't buy Star Wars and Marvel? Now that is a question some people might think, what, am I crazy? If Disney didn't buy Marvel, then we won't have the awesome Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I get this isn't really difficult thing to talk about. Okay, let's start with Star Wars first off. Now, for me, it's really difficult to talk about Star Wars because I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I have watched a few things. Like, I have watched like few episodes of the Star Wars Clone Wars series that was, or Star Wars The Clone Wars. Seriously. There are two different Star Wars Clone Wars series. One that was made by Genndy Tartakovsky that was called Star Wars Clone Wars, and there's another one called Star Wars The Clone Wars that is a long-running series. That was a long-running series on Cartoon Network. The only Star Wars, merchandise I only have is the Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars series, because one, I'm a big fan of Genndy Tartakovsky and Samurai Jack, and two, well, because the art style is pretty cool, and they actually made General Grievous really terrifying, which is a huge plus in my book. But and I do apologize if my camera stutters a little bit. The lighting outside, sometimes the sun goes up, sometimes it doesn't, so I apologize if my camera stutters or freezes in some cases. But with Star Wars, I don't know, Lucasfilm at the time, the reason why he actually gave Star Wars to Disney is because Lucasfilm at the time was kind of losing money, and Probably because they didn't have ideas for a Star Wars, a new Star Wars film or whatever, and Lucasfilm, or George Lucas himself, gave Star Wars to one of the nowadays known as the worst person to ever give Star Wars to, and that is Kathleen Kennedy. Back on topic, Kathleen Kennedy has been has been ruining Star Wars lately because she focuses more on her feminist agenda and representation, rather than actually telling a good story and telling a good story about Star Wars. And Disney has been hiring really awful people that basically don't know anything about Star Wars and just make shit up, and they focus more on their political agenda, social justice warriors, and whatnot, and it's insane. And like I said, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. Star Wars hasn't been a big part of my childhood, but I did watch the original Star Wars films. The original Star Wars trilogy. I watched, Genndy Tartakovsky's The Clone Wars series, and I also watched the Clone Wars CGI animated series, few episodes on Cartoon Network, but I haven't watched the entire series. Like I said, Star Wars for me has been a huge, part of my childhood, including Star Trek, so it's kind of difficult for me to talk about. But what if Disney didn't have Lucasfilm? That is the question. And I feel like, well, Star Wars could have ended. There will be no more stories, or we could have gotten some really cool video games based off of Star Wars mythos. There was this upcoming game made by Mistral Games, the fantastic Dead Space series. They were working on a Star Wars game called 1313, and I thought, yeah, that is really cool. Like Uncharted meets Uncharted meets Star Wars, basically, and it could have been a cool setting. It had an original story, it had really high stakes and whatnot, and you basically play as a bounty hunter, I believe, and I thought that would be a cool idea, but unfortunately it was cancelled, and of course Disney Star Wars decided, yeah, let's have Star Wars be made by Electronic Arts, one of the worst. Nowadays, one of the worst gaming companies of all time that focuses more on microtransactions, paid DLC, rather than making campaigns, good campaign stories, or actually making actual video games. Remember EA back in the day, back in the 90s and 2000s, actually did really good jobs making video games. They made really good Harry Potter games. The Need for Speed series was really good, really fantastic. Battlefield games were really great. They even published Burnout 3 Takedown, which is one of the best Burnout games of all time, and even Burnout Revenge and Burnout Paradise, and even Dead Space series. But then later on, after 2010s, I believe, EA kind of fell backwards with their business practices, and now they're just focusing more on paid DLC and microtransactions, despite the fact that people paid $60 for a full game. And now DC decided, yeah, let's have the worst company of all time to make a game, because it's EA. They can do nothing wrong. This is basically the mindset people have when it comes to Disney. It's Disney. They can do nothing wrong. They have the properties because they're Disney. They made great stuff. Well, they made, but now they're just like, I feel like Disney's brain just stopped, especially when Bob Iger became the president of, or the CEO of Disney. Now, for Marvel, what could have happened if Marvel wasn't bought by Disney? I feel like, first off, Spectacular Spider-Man shouldn't have been cancelled, because Spectacular Spider-Man was still in production, and one of the greatest animated directors, Craig Weisman, was planning to make like 4 seasons total of Spectacular Spider-Man, because he loved the character, he wanted to make more episodes of the show, and he had fun doing it. He created one of the best Spider-Man cartoons of all time, but because Disney bought the TV rights for Spider-Man, it was replaced by shittier versions of Spider-Man cartoons like Ultimate Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man. And maybe we could have gotten Avengers Serves Mightiest Heroes the way we once had when it was once aired on Disney XD, and actually continue it. Like, for example, like I said, the reason why they made Earth's Mightiest Heroes is because, you know, Disney is Disney, and they wanted to promote, their Marvel Cinematic Universe, their MCU movies. But the creators of Earth's Mightiest Heroes have a different agenda with their show, and making more comic accurate, but also putting their own twist and turns to it. And honestly, it was a really good show. And nowadays, I feel like it still holds up better than most of MCU movies, because it felt like the Marvel's it felt like a Marvel's successor of Justice League Unlimited, or Justice League cartoon series. The DCAU, Disney Animated Universe, once made. My problem with Marvel is the fact that people nowadays, especially when it comes to Marvel's cinematic universe, it's the fact that people are just blinded by it. Look at this, it's Marvel, it's silly, it's not very serious, but there's the problem, and I feel like with Marvel Cinematic Universe, now of course I'm gonna trigger a lot of people, but I feel like with Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, I feel like they're going a little bit overboard with way too much silliness and less with seriousness. Like every time there's like a serious moment, like finding Thanos or whatever, they always like interrupted with a stupid joke, with a necessary joke, and they even rewrite characters like the Hulk or Thor just to make for their own twisted agenda or whatever. I don't know. Like, so different stories, different universes, whatever. But the problem with it is the fact that originally the Hulk the Incredible Hulk movie was really good in my opinion, because it because it was more comic accurate. Like, I didn't like that they replaced Betty Brant with Black Widow as like Bruce Banner's love interest, because Black Widow and Bruce Banner have nothing, and I mean nothing, in common. And that fact that they make them like this love triangle or this love duo, like, it doesn't really fit the narrative of the characters. Not to mention the overabundance of shoved in heroes in a single movie is a little bit much at the same time as well. Not to mention they make a lot of their villains really uninteresting and forgettable. Like, for example, like I said, they really did dirty with Ultron. Like, Ultron was one of the most terrifying villains of all time. I like how he was portrayed in the next Avengers animated movie, and also in Earth's Mightiest Heroes animated series, because he felt like a real threat, like he was really menacing. But in the actual Age of Ultron movie, he felt like this comic relief character and nothing more. Like, for example, he makes his next body like that is made with vibranium, that is the same metal that Captain America's shield is made of. But then Vision, Thor, Iron Man were able to melt that metal through, like, it was made of butter, and Ultron's like, well, we should talk about this. Like he's in a drunken state, and Hulk punches him. Like, that is really disappointing, because Ultron is supposed to be like this big bad villain next to Thanos or even Kang the Conqueror or whatever. And they're really downgrading the villains, just to, appease to Thanos or the Infinity Saga. Like, they always make these Infinity Stones or whatever, like these big plot points. The reason why I like Captain America the Winter Soldier is because it took a risk to make a more mature and more serious storytelling, and that hasn't been seen in a Marvel movie for a really long time, aside from Iron Man 1. But Iron Man 1 wasn't owned by Disney at the time. I think it was either owned by DreamWorks or Paramount. I feel like it was owned by Paramount, including the Incredible Hulk. But then when Disney bought the rights for Marvel, they kind of cheesed it a little bit with the Marvel characters, especially with how they are portrayed in the original comics. And now that Endgame has ended, now Marvel is doing stupid decisions, like especially with the Phase 4, making more female-centric Marvel characters or whatever, making Captain Marvel this bland character with the bland actress Brie Larson, making her like the next leader of the Avengers or whatever, and I'm like, no, you can't do that. I don't know, I feel like Marvel and Star Wars could have been on a better light if Disney didn't bought these properties. Now they're even bought the 20th Century Fox, and, well, things are not exactly looking good for Disney. And I don't know, because Disney is like this. Now Disney is just like remaking or censoring their old movies and making more like this female propaganda, feminist agenda or whatnot, and it's kind of really, I don't know, kind of stupid when you think about it, and it's not looking good. Oh my god. But still, I don't know, I feel like Disney, if Disney did buy Star Wars or Marvel, I feel like things could have been much better. Like Wolverine and the X-Men could have been continued, or what else? Spectacular Spider-Man could have been continued and couldn't have been cancelled, because I really hate this trend with a lot of studios that they always cancel good shows and replace them with weaker versions of those shows and feel like, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, but I really hate this. Like Disney even canceled action shows that were original properties, like Motor City, Tron Uprising, and even Cartoon Network canceled really good shows like Thundercats 2011, Symbionic Titan, what else? Generator X. Well, Generator X kind of had an ending, but I feel like Man of Action actually wanted to continue the series more. But yeah. There's also Green Lantern, the animated series, Young Justice, Cartoon Network cancelled, and even Nickelodeon even had an action series. I don't know. Nickelodeon, I just gave up on that show because I never watched it even as a kid, because when it comes to Nickelodeon, one of the good things they have is merchandising, especially when they release DVDs or Blu-rays for all their animated shows, unlike Cartoon Network or Disney, that they don't do that. The Cartoon Network has few shows from Cartoon Network, but from the old Cartoon Network, but some of them don't have, and yeah. But still, it's kind of shitty when they always, but I really hate the fact that people always cancel good shows, good animated shows for kids, and replace them with worse shows towards younger audience, because nowadays the motto I feel like is with these big companies, like everything must be dumbed down because we don't want kids to be traumatized or whatever. We should not teach them the concept of death or responsibility or actual heroism or self-sacrifice. No. No. We can't do that. We can't show that to kids because oh my god, think of the children. Oh my god, I really hate this BS. But still, yeah, nowadays everything with entertainment, it's like basically it's like feminist agenda. Everything must be woke and everything must be like lesbian, gay, or whatever. Good storytelling and actual character development. No, no. You suck because if you're a male, white male, because you hate anything woman related. Like, Jesus Christ, I really hate this concept that is happening in the Western entertainment industry. Like, America is on itself. I don't know. I'm not saying all American people are like this. I know some American people are not affected by this, but a lot of them are like this. Basically, they're like, my agenda, my diversity, my shit, my LGBT representation, whatever. How dare you not support this stuff because you're a toxic white male, you hate toxic masculinity. We can have, God damn it, my throat is killing me. What else I wanted to say? We can have good-looking women. We can have that. We need more strong, independent women. But we can have them looking, or we can have them give them actual personalities. We need to have them hate men because men are toxic. They are the devil. Whatever. Like, I'm not saying all American people are like this, but a lot of the stuff is happening in the USA, and that is insane. Why do you hate shit like this? Because of people like this, because of that, we barely have anything with hard work and passion put into entertainment industry, and more about, you know, their equality, whatever the fuck they feel like it, and it's insane. But still, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What do you guys think? Would have Lucasfilm and Marvel be on a better path if Disney didn't buy those properties? I think so, yes, but at the same time, I do not know 100% if that is true. But still, I feel like Disney, Marvel, and Lucasfilm would have been on a better light if Marvel and Lucasfilm weren't bought by greedy corporation like Disney. But still, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later or whatever. This is Salmon 7 signing off.